My mother-in-law cut my hair in my sleep because she thought I cheated on my husband. Should I stand up to my mother-in-law? Story 1. So, I'm still processing this, but I need to get it off my chest. Last night, I woke up and realized someone had butchered my hair. One side is a jagged pixie cut, and the other side hangs awkwardly past my shoulder. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. Maybe I sleepwalked or something, but no. I confronted my husband, Tim, because he's been acting weird lately, but he denied it. Then he drops this bombshell. My mom, she might have done it. Apparently, my mother-in-law, let's call her Diane, is convinced I've been cheating on Tim. Why? Because last week, she saw me having lunch with a coworker. For the record, the coworker, Kyle, is gay and we were literally talking about work. But Diane decided I must be having an affair and, instead of, talking to me or Tim, she broke into our house in the middle of the night with scissors and went full Edward Scissorhands on my hair. This morning, I confronted her. At first, she played innocent, but when I pressed her, she literally said, "Well, maybe now you'll think twice before humiliating my son." Ersta was fuming. I told her Kyle isn't even into women, but she just rolled her eyes and said something like, "That's what they all say." I didn't even know how to respond to that level of delusion. Tim is horrified and apologetic, but I'm struggling here. This woman violated my personal space, destroyed my hair, and acted like she was in the right. I want to go no contact with her, but Tim is stuck between me and his mom, and I feel like this is going to be a huge blow-up in our marriage. Any advice? Because I'm honestly at a loss here. TLDR. My mother-in-law cut my hair in my sleep because she thinks I'm cheating on my husband. I'm not. Now I don't know how to handle her or my marriage. Edit number 1. My husband and I will be going to my mother-in-law tomorrow to talk to her about the situation again. Hopefully everyone will be calmed down by then and I won't have to threaten legal action. Thank you for all the support and suggestions. I will keep them in mind. Edit number 2. To everyone saying this is fake. I don't know how to make you believe me, and honestly, I shouldn't have to. I'm sitting here, crying in my friend's guest room, completely broken, trying to make sense of how my life has fallen apart in the span of 24 hours. My husband, the person I thought I could trust the most, betrayed me in the most humiliating way possible. His mother violated me in my sleep, and now strangers are telling me my pain isn't real. I wish with everything in me that this wasn't real. I wish I wasn't sitting here trying to figure out how to rebuild my life, how to ever trust someone again, or how to even face the people around me after this. I've barely eaten, I've been shaking all day, and I feel like my world is crumbling beneath me. I turned to Reddit because I didn't know where else to go. I needed advice, a sense of support, something to help me hold myself together. But these accusations? They're just making me feel even more alone. If you can't believe me, fine, but please don't make this harder than it already is. I wouldn't wish this pain on anyone. Update number 1. My mother-in-law cut my hair in my sleep because she thought I cheated on my husband, and now I found out my husband helped her. After the conversation we had with Diane this morning, I noticed my husband Tim was acting weird. At first, I thought it was just guilt about standing up to his mom, but it felt like more than that. He's been avoiding eye contact and getting defensive when I bring up what happened. Earlier, I couldn't take it anymore, so I sat him down and told him he needed to be 100% honest with me about everything. That's when he dropped the bombshell. Apparently, Diane didn't come up with the haircut idea on her own. Tim admitted that he knew about it ahead of time, and even helped her. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. He said he truly thought I was cheating on him with Kyle, my gay coworker, because Diane had convinced him that there was too much evidence to ignore. When she suggested cutting my hair as some kind of weird punishment, he didn't stop her. In fact, he let her into our house that night while I was sleeping. Tim said he didn't want to confront me directly because he wasn't ready for the truth. So instead, he let his mother do this insane thing to me, thinking it would force me to come clean. Afterward, when I didn't admit to cheating, he started to realize he might have been wrong, but by then, he didn't know how to tell me what he'd done. He kept saying, "I'm so sorry, I was just confused." But I honestly don't know how to process this. This wasn't just Diane acting like a lunatic, this was both of them, and my own husband betrayed me in one of the most humiliating ways possible. I packed a bag and am staying with a friend tonight, and while I figure out what to do, I don't know if I can ever trust him again after this. It's not just the haircut, it's the fact that he didn't talk to me, believed the worst about me without any proof, and actively participated in something so cruel and violating. As for Diane, she's officially dead to me. I've already told Tim that I don't want her in my life ever again, regardless of what happens between us. Right now, I'm torn. Part of me wants to file a police report on both of them for what they did, but I'm scared of how messy it will get. Another part of me just wants to cut ties and move on, but that feels like letting them off too easy. I don't know what my next step is, but I do know this. I deserve better than this. Thank you to everyone who has supported me through this. Your comments and advice have meant the world, and I'm truly grateful for the kindness and understanding. It's helping me find the strength to figure out what comes next. Update number 2. I think I'm going to divorce him, and I may file a police report. After everything that's happened, I've been thinking a lot about my next steps, and I've come to a heartbreaking but necessary conclusion. I don't think there's any coming back from this. I trusted Tim with my heart, my safety, my life, and he betrayed me in ways I never thought possible. I can't imagine a future where I feel safe with him, where I can trust him, or where I don't carry the weight of this violation every day. I'm strongly considering filing for divorce. The thought of staying with him feels unbearable, but at the same time, I can't stop worrying about the messiness of it all. I just want to cut ties completely, to walk away and rebuild my life without him or his mother dragging me down any further. As for filing a police report, I'm leaning toward it, but I'm scared of what it might bring. I know what they did was a crime. My own husband let his mother into our home to assault me in my sleep. But the thought of dealing with legal battles, or even just having to relive this again and again in statements, is exhausting. Part of me wants to hold them accountable, but another part just wants to run far away and never look back. Right now, I'm taking it one step at a time. I've been talking to friends, trying to find some clarity in all this chaos. It's terrifying and painful, but I know one thing for sure. I deserve so much better than this. Thank you to everyone who has shown me kindness and support. It means the world to me right now. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Why was his first thought, maybe my mom did it? Like, why would a normal person's mind go there? Did he let her in? I'm sorry, but if my spouse woke up with their hair butchered, none of my thoughts would be that it could be my mom unless I knew or she had done that before to someone else I was with. There is definitely more to that story. And if he isn't immediately on your side, sounds like you have a husband problem along with a Emil problem. Commenter 2. Police, police, police. File for a TRO with intent to get a permanent restraining order. She broke into your home and approached you with a weapon while you were sleeping. She could have easily killed you, and next time she probably will. Do not ever allow this woman into your house or your life again. Your husband's opinion is not important here. A restraining order is no contact due to court order. Story 2. Mother-in-law, 56 degrees Fahrenheit, deliberately infected my 27 degrees Fahrenheit daughter, 1 degree Fahrenheit with chickenpox. I'm livid. She doesn't think it's a big deal. I can hardly type this out because thinking about it makes me so angry. Earlier this year, my husband, 31-year-old, and I decided to spend Christmas with his family for the first time since my daughter was born last September. Since they live 12 hours away, we decided to stay for a few weeks before Christmas so they could spend loads of time with Annie, 13 months. We arrived early like we planned and everything was great. I've had a few disagreements with my mother-in-law Trish, 56-year-old, in the past over my parenting style. She criticized me for using disposable diapers, buying baby food from the supermarket and not raising Annie as an organic baby, but everything seemed great. After a day or two settling in, my husband and I decided to pick up a few gifts from a mall around an hour away before the last-minute rush kicked in. My father-in-law, 60-year-old, tagged along. Trish said she was happy to take care of Annie. We got back a few hours later and Annie was down for a nap on a blanket I didn't recognize. Trish said one of her friends dropped by and gave it as an early Christmas gift. It looked pretty old worn, but I figured one of her hippie friends was just recycling it. The next 2 weeks were fine, aside from Trish making a point to prepare meals for Annie from scratch. I mentioned this to my husband and he said to just let her be. Annie mostly mushed the food Trish gave her with her hands, threw the bowls on the floor, as she's been doing at the moment. Trish said it would take her a while to get used to nutritious meals. I was getting sick of her meddling, but it was only for a few weeks, so for the sake of the holidays I let it slide. The day after Christmas, Annie was really unsettled and wouldn't stop fidgeting and crying. I took her temperature and she had a fever, so I kept an eye on her for the next few days and it thankfully started to go down. This morning, she started to get a rash and blisters on her arms and legs and I freaked out. I was packing a bag to drive to see a doctor when Trish asked where I was going. I told her Annie had a rash and I was taking her to see a doctor. She got a weird smug smile on her face and told me there was nothing to worry about. When I asked her what she was talking about, she said without even looking at Annie that what she had was just chickenpox. I asked her how she could possibly know that, and she casually admitted one of her friend's grandkids had chickenpox a few weeks ago, so she asked them to wipe a blanket over the child's arms, legs and face and bring it to her house. At this point I couldn't believe what I was hearing, so I asked if that blanket was the gift Annie was sleeping on. She said it was. I lost my shit. To be honest, I don't really remember what I said because I was up most of the night for 2 days checking on Annie. I just unleashed on Trish asking what the fuck was wrong with her. My husband and father-in-law came to try to calm things down, and Trish dug in her heels and said chickenpox was the best and most natural thing for Annie to build up her immunity. I already have a vaccination schedule in place with my pediatrician, and she was booked in to get immunized for chickenpox at 18 months. We drove to see the doctor and he confirmed she had it. He said, "I'll have to cut Annie's nails short and might have to tape socks on her hands while she sleeps because kids so young can scratch until they bleed, and that will leave scars." On the drive back, my husband started making excuses for Trish, that she was only doing what she thought was best. I couldn't believe he was defending her, and we fought most of the way home until I told him to stop talking to me. Annie's been scratching like crazy, and I just had to tape socks over her hands. Trish tried to talk to me when we got back, and I told her to get out of my sight. We were meant to stay until Wednesday, but I just finished packing up our stuff so we can leave first thing in the morning. I'm so angry I can't even think. Whenever I hear Trish moving around in the kitchen, my heart starts beating faster and I feel like going out there and grabbing her by the hair. I don't ever want to see her again or let my daughter see her again. What can I say to make her and my husband realize the enormity of what she's done? I don't think I can speak coherently to their faces until Annie gets better. TLDR. Mother-in-law deliberately infected my daughter with chickenpox. I'm so angry I feel like physically harming her. I need advice on what to say to make her realize what she's done. Update. Thank you to everyone for your comments, inbox messages and advice after my original post. I read all the comments and messages, and they genuinely helped, especially the home remedies on how to stop itching. On to the update. I didn't think it would be possible, but things got worse. I got up first thing the next morning and started packing our stuff into the car. Once I opened it up, I kept the keys in my pocket since I was going in and out. Usually we use Jack's set and leave mine in my bag. While I was packing, he sat in the kitchen with Trish and my father-in-law, 60 million, and chatted and had coffee like nothing was wrong. Annie was mercifully still asleep, so I just gently belted her in and closed her door when Jack came out and asked if I had everything. I said we were good to go as soon as he was. He said okay and calmly took out his key set and centrally locked the car, locking Annie in. I asked him what the hell he was doing, and he said we wouldn't be leaving until I apologized to Trish. I think I was stunned into silence because he then took the chance to rehash what he said the previous day. That Trish thought she was doing what was best, that chickenpox doesn't kill you, and that I was making a bigger deal out of this than I needed to and making Trish feel bad. Yes, making her feel bad. All the comments from my last post were swirling around in my head, and I told him he needs to stop being a son and start being a father. He screwed up his face and said he would always be Trish's son, and that was the point. That nobody should speak to his mother the way I had the day before, and I needed to apologize to clear the air. I felt like I had entered some kind of weird twilight zone where I had accidentally married a 9-year-old instead of an adult man, so I just asked him to open the car so we could leave. He repeatedly refused, then walked back inside and said he would see me in there when I was acting more reasonable. You can probably guess what happened next. I'd left my bag on the passenger seat, so he probably assumed my keys were in there. Nope. I waited 30 seconds, then just hopped into the car and drove away. My phone blew up with a million calls from him, Trish, and my father-in-law. Eventually my mom and dad and my sister Jess, who I'm super close with, called as well. I'd briefly texted Jess about what was happening the day before, but she was stunned to get the full blow-by-blow. By the time I was on the open road, I asked her to phone Jack and tell him he could walk home for all I care. Once she heard my side of the story, and not Jack's, which was apparently that I had gone crazy, frightened Trish, snatched Annie and sped away, she calmed way down. Mom, Dad and Jess offered to start driving and meet me halfway so I could switch with one of them and wouldn't have to drive the full 12 hours by myself in one day. I was so grateful to see them I pretty much broke down in a truck stop parking lot while I blubbered that I loved them. They all took turns driving while I had a rest. It was super reassuring to talk it over and hear that Trish and Jack are the unreasonable ones. Once we got back, I stayed at my parents' overnight and they said I could stay as long as I needed. The next few days were fairly tense. I was up most of the night making sure Annie didn't scratch, which she did anyway, somehow, and it seemed like she just cried, and cried, and cried until she was exhausted. She has 5 scars on her face and a few others on her arms from scratching. I know appearances shouldn't matter, but I'm so angry her skin is marked for life now over some stupid bullshit. This whole thing is just something I never expected to happen. I answered one of Jack's calls only to have him start a rant that he didn't recognize this person I had become, so I hung up on him. He was due to come back for the start of the work year, which I wasn't looking forward to, but I figured we could make it work as long as Trish was 12 hours away. Then at like 11 p.m., one night I got a very short and formal text from father-in-law via Jack's phone, saying Trish had come down with shingles and was in the emergency room, that Jack was staying there to care for her, and that he would work from their house remotely once the year started back up. Jack's been there for the past few weeks tending to Mama's every whim. I'm sure she's put on an Oscar-worthy performance of having one foot in the grave. And according to Google, it should be any day now that her painful, crusty pustules go gently into that sweet night. A few weeks ago I was honestly so tired and overwhelmed and in disbelief that I didn't know what to do. Now I'm back at home with people who actually care about me. I think I'm starting to realize how lucky I am to see the weird relationship with his mommy this early on. The fact that he cares more about Trish than his own daughter speaks volumes. When he eventually comes back, I think we'll have to have a serious talk about our future together. TL.dr. Mother-in-law infects my 1-year-old with chickenpox on purpose. Husband supports his mommy. He tries to force me to apologize to her by locking our daughter in the car, but I peace out with a spare set of keys. Husband has barely spoken to me in the week since. Mother-in-law came down with shingles, so he's staying with her to nurse her back to health. I don't think any amount of TLC can do the same for our relationship now I've seen the real him. Who? Story 3. Ada for kicking my mother-in-law out of my house because she won't stop complaining about my daughter's name. Both me, 28-year-old, and my husband, 30-year-old, are from Latin America. We moved to the UK shortly after we had our eldest, 5-year-old. Our daughter, who turns 1 in April, was born here. My mother-in-law, 60s, and my husband's older brother, 37-year-old, neither of whom have met our daughter before, are flying over for her birthday. Bill wanted to get a hotel room for himself and Mill doesn't speak any English, so we decided to have her stay at our place instead of leaving her alone in a foreign country. Years ago, when I was pregnant with my son, my husband and I made the mistake of revealing his name to our families. My mother-in-law spent the next months complaining about it. She'd send us lists of name suggestions, look up bad historical figures with the same name as the one we'd chosen, and just generally say it was awful. She didn't stop until our son was born and the name was on his birth certificate. So for my second pregnancy, we decided to keep our daughter's name a secret until after her birth. We figured that not knowing her name until it was unchangeable would stop MIL from complaining. We were wrong. Our daughter's name is Cecilia. Minutes after she was born, my MIL called my husband and asked, "You know Cecilia means blind, right?" Almost a year later, she hasn't stopped complaining. If it's not because of the meaning, it's because it's ugly, long, or an old lady name. There have been occasions in which my husband sent pictures of her to his family's group chat and his mom replied with stuff like, "How cute. Too bad her name is Cecilia." It genuinely feels like my daughter is being bullied. Whenever we talk to my MIL, which has been happening less and less lately for this exact reason, she has a new complaint. Up until now, the main reason I was able to kind of tune it out was because she hadn't complained to us in person or in front of our children, but she'll be here in less than 2 weeks, and I'm absolutely certain she'll continue her crusade at our home. I don't want to hear it, I don't want my son to hear it, and I don't want my baby's first birthday to be ruined by grandma's bitching. So a couple months ago, my husband and I called his mom. We told her she could no longer stay with us, and to ask BIL to help her get a hotel room. We also told her the reasons behind our decision. Mill cried on the phone, and has called us several times since. She always either apologizes, calls us dramatic, or accuses us of alienating her from her grandkids. Throughout all this, she continues to insist she has the right to dislike our daughter's name, and still hasn't booked a hotel room. My Bill agrees she's being a dick, but is upset we told her she can no longer stay at our place. He's accusing us of forcing an elderly woman to stay alone in a foreign country even though we're perfectly capable of housing her. He's also mad that after promising for months that MIL could stay at our house, we're retracting our offer. This whole situation has been exhausting, and I'm starting to worry I might be overreacting. Aida? Update. Hey everyone, it's been a while since I posted, so I want to give you an update. I'll try to be brief. For the next couple of weeks after my first post, MIL continued her attempts to convince us to let her stay with us, but still refused to book a hotel room. My husband and I decided to speak with BIL again. He told us that the main reason why he wanted to get a hotel room for himself was to explore the city on his own, but could understand why we didn't want MIL to stay with us anymore. Eventually, He agreed to help her get a different room at the hotel he'd stay in. From what I gather, he also spent the weeks leading up to the visit telling his mother that if she tried complaining about Cecilia's name at any point, he would call a taxi to send her back to the hotel. Cecilia's birthday went off without a hitch, except for the fact that Emil immediately tried to give her a nickname. For a few hours, she kept calling her Lila. She was doing so behind our backs, and my husband and I didn't realize it until our son came to ask us if Grandma knew Cece's name. My Bill offered to call the taxi, but we decided to brush it off. Later, my husband pulled Emil aside and said that if she ever tried to complain about either of our children again, she wouldn't get to visit us anymore. She behaved herself until she and Bill flew back home, and we haven't heard any complaints from her since. I'm very satisfied with this outcome. Though I'm still worried she will complain about my kids again in the future, I now know that we have my husband's brother by our side, which will greatly help us navigate our relationship with their mother. Also, kudos to those who brought up Simon and Garfunkel's Cecilia. Though I love that one, our girl was actually named after a song by Brazilian singer Chico Buarque. I couldn't find a video with English subtitles. Editor's note, I found a translation on Lyrics Layers, but I highly recommend checking it out. Thank you for reassuring me I wasn't overreacting, and I wish you all well. Story 4. Ada for going home early on a family vacation after my mother-in-law constantly invaded my privacy. I, 38-year-old, am the solo breadwinner of this house. I have a wife 38-year-old and a daughter 38-year-old. Me and my wife has been planning this family vacation to Venice for months. For context, my daughter is very little and she needs constant attention or she will get into trouble. Venice has always been my wife's idea of a romantic city, so it's been her dream to go there. However, we can't just leave our daughter at home. We initially wanted to leave her at my MIL's house, but she wanted to come with us and my MIL said that it was her dream to visit too. My wife was very supportive of this idea, but I was more reluctant. My wife planned everything, booking the hotels and the restaurants. However, to my dismay, she booked 1 room of 2 queens instead of 2 rooms with 2 kings. I planned for this to be a romantic getaway, and did not want my daughter in the room with us. We could easily afford 2 rooms, but my wife wanted to keep an eye on her as well. To make matters worse, my mother-in-law was constantly in my space. She also had to share all of my wife's expensive products, face wash, shampoo, lotion, etc. My daughter likes to sit on our bed when me and my wife are gone to the city, and I come back to see that Mil was sitting on our bed too. It is very unhygienic to me and I don't like that she was sitting on the bed that me and my wife share, as I am a very private person. She also rummaged through our suitcase looking for a hair tie, and it really irked me that she did so without asking me. I don't like the thought of her looking through our stuff when we're gone, so I locked it. The final straw was when I woke up in the morning, I saw that MIL has yet again forgotten something. For the last few days, she's been sharing the same toothpaste as me and my wife. I don't like the thought of her putting her toothbrush close to, or even on, the toothpaste nozzle and I was ill the more I thought about it. I asked MIL if the only reason she came was to freeload off of me and my wife, as she didn't pay for any of the expenses, hotel, amenities, food, only her own plane tickets. I said that I've asked her politely several times to stop using my wife's stuff, especially because I share it with her and it's very inappropriate. My mother-in-law was very upset and told my wife, and my wife screamed at me. I was very angry that the trip that I paid with my own money was now ruined, and I changed the date of my plane ticket and went straight home. My wife has called me several times afterwards, screaming at me and saying that our daughter is upset. I feel bad that our daughter was caught in the situation, but it was really not acceptable what my mother-in-law did and I had to set some boundaries before it gets worse. My wife has her own card and enough money to stay there. I'm not sure about her plans about staying or not. I've been ignoring her calls to take some time for my own mental health. Edit. Thank you to everyone that responded. I'm reading through each response carefully and I have realized my mistakes. I'm taking tonight to write a sincere apology and I will be calling my wife first thing in the morning tomorrow. Thank you again. I love her more than anything and I want to make amends. Final update. I just called my wife to deliver my sincere apology. I am writing this with a heavy heart. She has blocked my number and my MIL informed me that she will be looking into divorce proceedings. I have never thought about this happening, and I am at a loss of what to do. I have failed our family, as a husband and as a father. I am not angry at my wife for this decision, but I still cling to the hope that I can turn this around. I am about to lose the love of my life, over a stupid mistake that I made. I was not rational when I stormed off. She did not deserve any of my attitude. I am praying at this moment that after some time off and after I change myself for the better, she will reconsider this divorce. I am going to contact a therapist and marriage counseling after posting this. I feel myself spiraling and I don't want to think how I ruined my life in the span of these 48 hours. Again, thank you to everyone that responded. I will be logging off for a while and work through my thoughts. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do next. All I know is that I have lost the love of my life, and I have no way to contact her. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. My world has just come crashing down. I'm sorry, Maria. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest ones. Have a great day.